At the beginning of the movie, we see a bright light racing across a farmer's fields in the darkness of night. It looks as if a powerful lightning bolt has struck from the sky. The next morning, the farmer, whose land it is, calls his sons and shows them the fields, saying someone destroyed all their wheat during the night. Hearing this, his elder son says that maybe some demon did it. But the farmer is furious and, to guard the fields at night, assigns the responsibility to his youngest son, John. Actually, everyone considers John foolish and dumb, but they have no idea that this fool is destined to become a king one day. That night, while John is guarding the fields, he hears the sound of a horse. When he turns around, he sees a huge white horse standing right behind him. He gets scared, but still throws a rope lasso around it to catch it. The horse starts running at great speed, and John holds the rope tightly, trying hard to stop it. But the horse is so fast that John gets dragged along helplessly. Due to its speed, the horse ends up getting stuck in a swamp. Seeing this, John ties the rope to a windmill and somehow manages to pull the horse out of the swamp. Once out, the horse sits sadly on the ground, which makes John feel pity for it. So, he decides to set it free. But before doing that, he makes the horse promise never to destroy their crops again. In reality, this was a magical mare. After being freed, she happily runs away at lightning speed. The next morning, when John wakes up, he sees two extremely beautiful horses standing in the stable. Along with them is a small horse named Foal, who is actually the magical mare's child and can even talk to humans. Foal tells John that his mother sent these horses as a gift for him because she was very happy with him. John becomes very happy, but at the same time, his father is angrily coming toward him because the fields were still destroyed despite John guarding them last night. Seeing this, John gets scared. But Foal immediately makes John sit on his back and runs at lightning speed, taking him far away. John is shocked to see how fast they travel, and within moments, they reach near a city. John tells Foal that the other two horses are still in the stable. So Foal whistles loudly, and both horses instantly run from the stable straight to them. John then heads toward the city market with the horses, thinking he can sell them for a great price. When John reaches the marketplace with the horses, everyone is stunned to see them. They had never seen such magnificent horses before. Everyone wants to buy them. Foal then tells John to sell the horses to a man sitting near a hut in front of them. But John refuses, saying he wants to sell them to the king to get even more money. So John takes the horses to the king. But the king tells his minister that he doesn't believe such wonderful horses belong to John. The minister says he must have stolen them. Hearing this, the king takes both horses from John without paying him and begins to leave. Seeing this, John feels disappointed and helpless. Noticing John's sadness, Foal whistles loudly again. Hearing the whistle, both horses immediately leave the king's carriage and run straight back to John. As the horses escaped, the king's chariot lost control and crashed straight into stacks of flour, covering the king completely in white, making him look like a ghost. The king felt extremely embarrassed, but since it wasn't really John's fault, he didn't scold him in front of the public. The king decided to pay John for the horses, but he also wanted revenge for his humiliation. So, on the minister's advice, the king asked John to stay in the palace and take care of the royal horses. John agreed. In the next scene, we see that because of John's good nature and hard work, everyone in the kingdom started liking him. But this made the king jealous, and he secretly wanted to get rid of John. One of the ministers suggested that they should give John an impossible task, capturing the firebird. No one had ever returned alive after trying to catch it. The king ordered John to do it, and John accepted. When John told Foal about this, Foal said it was impossible and extremely dangerous, but John had already agreed, so Foal had no choice but to help. He took John to a jungle at lightning speed and brought him to a tree called Dream Nuts. Foal said that these nuts were the firebird's favorite, and after eating them, it would fall into a deep sleep. John collected some nuts and kept them with him. They then reached the place where the firebird lived, but it wasn't visible because it stayed underground. Foal told John to throw the nuts nearby. As soon as the scent spread, the firebird slowly emerged and happily started eating the nuts. Soon it fainted and collapsed, but the next moment it woke up again, and John panicked and started running. The firebird chased him, but Foal came in between, diverting its attention. Just before it could attack them, John threw his last dream nut in front of it. The firebird ate it, fainted again, and fell into the water. By the next morning, when it woke up, John had already chained it. Soaked in water and weakened, the firebird began crying, which made John feel sad. He decided to free it and remove the chains. The firebird happily flew away, but before leaving, it gifted John a shining feather. John returned to the kingdom with Foal, feeling happy. But the king's soldiers arrested him, saying he failed to capture the firebird and would now be executed. John showed the glowing feather and explained that he had caught the firebird but let it go. The king refused to believe him because the feather wasn't shining anymore. He sentenced John to death, but before the punishment could be carried out, the firebird itself appeared, and the feather began to glow brightly. The entire kingdom lit up with its radiance. Everyone now believed John, and the people trusted him. The king could no longer punish him. Despite his jealousy, he had to honor John in front of everyone. He dressed John in royal clothes and a turban, publicly praising him while secretly still being envious. But this time, the king was even more stubborn and desperately wanted to get rid of John. He asked his ministers for ideas to finish John. One minister suggested that they should send John to bring back a princess who lived far away on the snowy peak of a mountain. This way, the king would benefit either way if John managed to bring her. The king would marry the princess, and if John failed, the king could sentence him to death. The king liked the idea very much, so he immediately announced it across the kingdom and sent John to bring the princess as soon as possible. John and Foal set out on their journey, and thanks to Foal's incredible speed, they soon reached the place. But before entering the castle, they found a thick layer of ice blocking the entrance. John was confused because breaking it seemed impossible. Just then, the firebird's feather appeared and went toward the door. As soon as it touched, the entire ice melted, turning into flowing water. The strong flow washed Foal down the mountain, leaving John alone. John then entered the castle, where he saw many girls sleeping and couldn't figure out which one was the real princess. Suddenly, the firebird's feather went to one of the girls and woke her up. John understood that she was the real princess. He told her that their king wanted to marry her, and that he, John, had been sent to bring her to the kingdom. But the princess refused and said that if the king was truly brave, he should have come himself. She believed that there was no truly brave man left in the world and refused to go with John. Saying this, she jumped off the mountain cliff. Without thinking, John also jumped after her to save her. The princess was able to glide through the air using her special magical clothes. But when she saw John falling fast, she caught him. However, due to John's mistake, her magical outfit tore, and both of them started falling rapidly. Just then, Foal appeared and saved them using his magical wings. But the fall had already made the princess unconscious. Foal said he could have saved them earlier, but perhaps his magical wings were waiting for this exact moment. That night, when they stopped in a forest, Foal told John that he had clearly fallen in love with the princess, and they shouldn't go back to the king. They should run away somewhere else. But John refused to betray his duty. Deep inside, even the princess had started liking John. The next morning, John and Foal took the princess back to the kingdom. Seeing John return successfully with the princess, the king became furious because John had once again proved him wrong. But the minister reminded him that this actually benefited the king since he could now marry the princess. The people of the kingdom were also very happy to see John and the princess, and the king publicly rewarded John with gold and fine clothes. However, John was heartbroken because even though he loved the princess, he had to hand her over to the king. That night, John secretly went to meet the princess and gave her a bouquet of flowers. She was very happy because she also liked John. But before they could talk much, the king's men arrived, and John had to quietly leave. After this, the king's men dressed the princess in new clothes and brought her to the king. After talking for a while, the king asked her if she would marry him, but she refused. She said she could not marry until she found her grandmother's lost ring, which she had dropped somewhere in the ocean. Hearing this, the king became worried. Just then, John arrived. The king became happy seeing him and said, "You have come at the right time. I have another task for you. You must find the princess's ring from the ocean." John agreed, but Foal was worried because once again, he would have to help John, and this time, even he didn't know where the ring was. So Foal asked his mother for help. Using magic in the sky, Foal's mother showed him that the ring was inside a giant whale, which had now turned into an island in the middle of the sea. She also showed them the path to reach it. The next morning, Foal and John set out to find the ring. While they were flying, John suddenly lost balance and fell straight into the ocean. He wasn't hurt, but when he looked underwater, he saw a massive whale tied with chains, which had turned into a small island. John immediately understood that this was the whale they were searching for. When he came back up, a huge wave approached them. But before it could hit, Foal rescued John, and they flew near the whale. Foal could understand the whale's language. The whale said she had accidentally swallowed several ships, which was why she was chained. But now, She wanted to correct her mistake. John then wondered how they could free her. Suddenly, he got an idea. If they could somehow make the whale sneeze, the powerful jerk might break the chains. So John and Foal went inside the whale's nose and started tickling it. Soon, the whale sneezed loudly, breaking all the chains one by one. The ships she had swallowed were also blown out. John and Foal were also pushed out by the sneeze and safely reached the shore, where they saw the whale happily swimming back into the deep sea. But then John remembered that he had forgotten to ask the whale for the ring, and he became upset. Just then, a crab came to him and handed him the ring. The whale had understood John's true intentions and sent it for him. John was overjoyed and returned with Foal. As soon as he returned, he quietly went to meet the princess first and gave her grandmother's ring. Then he proposed to her. Seeing the ring, the princess realized that John was truly brave, and she happily agreed to marry him. But on the other side, the king's minister had seen John with the princess and came with the soldiers to capture him. A fight broke out between John and the soldiers. Hearing the noise, the king woke up and rushed toward the princess's room. There, he saw Foal and shot him with a gun, causing Foal to fall to the ground. John was then arrested for secretly meeting the princess. Later that night, when the princess was in her room, a small chick came to her and took her to the stable. It was actually sent by Foal. The princess told Foal that she wanted to get rid of the king, so she had tricked him by promising to make him young again and convinced him to pass through 3 magical cauldrons as part of a ritual. But just then, the king's minister arrived and advised the king that John should be the first one to pass through those 3 magical cauldrons. So it was announced that the next afternoon, in front of the entire kingdom, John would be thrown into 3 giant cauldrons, one filled with boiling hot water, the second with freezing ice-cold water, and the third with boiling milk. If they wanted to save John, the princess explained, they would need to drop her grandmother's ring into the hot water cauldron, the firebird's feather into the freezing water cauldron, and a life elixir flower into the boiling milk cauldron, which could only be found at the edge of the world. Hearing this, Foal said, "We already have the ring and the firebird's feather, but I don't think I can reach the edge of the world and return by tomorrow afternoon. I'm already badly injured." But the princess encouraged him and said he could do it. So after she left, even though he was hurt, Foal sped away like lightning to find the life elixir flower. The next morning, the entire kingdom gathered as the king prepared the 3 massive cauldrons. John was brought from the prison. Without wasting time, the king threw him into the cauldron of boiling hot water. But the princess cleverly dropped the ring into it just in time, saving John. Then, John flew straight into the freezing cold water cauldron, but the firebird placed its glowing feather into it, saving him again. Next, John was thrown into the cauldron of boiling milk. Meanwhile, Foal finally reached the edge of the world and found the life elixir flower. The flower warned him, "If you pluck me, you will die." But without worrying about his own life, Foal plucked it anyway. Back at the kingdom, a long time had passed since John had fallen into the boiling milk. Everyone thought John had died and began to leave in sorrow. Just then, Foal appeared in the sky and dropped the life elixir flower into the cauldron. As soon as the flower touched the milk, a bright light burst out, and John emerged from the cauldron, transformed, now looking like a true prince. The people cheered with joy. Seeing this miracle, the greedy king also jumped into the hot water cauldron, hoping to become young. But instead, he got trapped inside a giant bubble, screaming as it floated far away into the sky. The people were overjoyed, as no one liked the king anyway. Everyone then decided that John should become their new king because they knew he was honest, brave, and kind. John and the princess were very happy with this decision. Meanwhile, Foal thought he was about to die because of the flower's warning. He was terrified, but the princess reassured him, explaining that the flower's words were only a test of courage. Since Foal bravely plucked it, nothing would happen to him, but if he had returned without it, he would surely have died. In the end, John and the princess got married. Everyone celebrated happily, and the story came to a beautiful and joyful end.